Well, good evening, and happy Tuesday. I want to welcome you to this edition of the Leadership Edge podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder. Thank you so much for tuning in. The Leadership Edge is dedicated to leadership. We talk all things leadership. Our desire and our goal is to give you that edge that you've been looking for, that edge that you need, to help you to be a better leader, to perform, and to function at a higher level in your leadership. So thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to get to talking leadership in just a moment, but as always, we want to give you a couple of things ahead of time. Number one is wherever you're watching us from. If you're watching us on Facebook, BGTV Studios Facebook page, go ahead and hit the like button, like us and follow. Also, hit the share button. Go ahead and share it and let your friends know that Leadership Edge is on the air. If you're watching us on YouTube and BGT Studio YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to that channel, and so that we can build our subscriber list, and you can also have access to all the archives of information that's on the BGTV Studios YouTube page. So do that. In the comment section while you're watching these podcasts, we'd like for you to comment. First of all, let us know where you're watching us from. That lets the management and the staff here know how the reach of their programming and our programming. So go ahead, and if you're watching from Bill from Texas, or Sally from New York, or John from Florida, whatever it may be, let us know where you're watching from. Also, in the podcast, go ahead and hit comment. Let us know if you like the content that's helping. Again, that's the way of communicating back with us, so go ahead and do that. All right? Well, I trust that you had a great day today and sitting down enjoying dinner. And hey, no better way to enjoy dinner than have my face on the screen talking to you about leadership. So let's talk about leadership a little bit. I want to talk today, and probably in our next broadcast on next week, why leaders fail. Why leaders fail. Now, failure is an automatic part of the growth process. Any leader, myself, anybody who deems themselves successful, they can tell you that prior to the great successes they've had, there were failures along the way. There were things they had to overcome to get to the top. That's normal process. Let's think about the natural progression of a child learning to walk. You did it, I did it, we all did it. We watch our grandkids do it, we watch kids do it. They start walking and they'll hold on to something. Then finally they'll let go and they'll walk a step or two and then they'll fall. Okay? They fail to totally walk. What does that little kid do? Get back up. Keep on trying it. He don't stay on the ground. He gets back up. And eventually, guess what? He walks and he don't fall anymore. The natural reaction, a natural response to failing or falling is getting up, okay, and doing it again. And so you may have setbacks, or what we call failures, in your journey of leadership, whatever you're leading. None of us are perfect, so we're going to have mess-ups and failures. The natural process is to get back up. However, we also want to know what contributed to my failure, And let me just explain. Falling just simply means, failure simply means I wasn't successful. I didn't perform at the level I wanted to perform at, Quitting is when you fall and you stay down and refuse to get back up, okay? If I were walking and I was to trip and fall, the natural reaction that I would have would be to get up. If I stay on the ground, then that tells people around that something is wrong with me. Either I'm hurt beyond what they thought, there's something physically happening that I can't get up, or maybe something psychological happened to me. But it's not natural to fall and not get back up, okay? We're in the sports arena. I love sports. You'll hear me talk about it a lot. I use sports analogies in my leadership training a lot. We're in Alabama. We're in the heart of football country, especially college football, high school football. As a matter of fact, college football season just kicked off last Saturday, okay? And so we're in the heart of that. Now, every football coach, all the games played this week, there were winners and there were losers, okay? What the losing coach will do is they'll take the game film and they'll dissect it to see what happened. What were the things that caused us to lose this game? Where did we fail at? Even the winning coach will do the same thing. Although he won, he'll still look at things that they did wrong, that although they won, if these trends continue, down the road it could cause them to fail. So they have what is called a breakdown of film, and then they have a team meeting, and they go over everything, and they debrief, and they correct, okay? Well, let's look at this session here as kind of like a reviewing the film, okay? A film session. I'm the leadership guru, and you're my team, okay? So let's look at why things have happened to you as a leader that sometimes you came up short. You didn't hit the goal you wanted to hit. You didn't perform how you wanted to perform, okay? Happens to the best of us. The issue is correcting what happened. Now, over the next couple of weeks, today and next week, I'm going to give you 10 different things that I call 10 reasons why leaders fail, okay? Time permits, we'll do 5 today, and do other 5 next week. But let's get rolling on it. Why leaders fail. Number 1, taking action without planning. You take action without planning. Nobody goes and plays a football game without a game plan. They know exactly what they want to do, how they want to do it. It's called a game plan, okay? They don't just show up and say, okay, here's the football, go out there and do what you want to do. As a leader, when it comes to your goals and your future, impulsiveness is the mother of regret. That simply means that to go do without planning going to lead you to great regret. We all want to see things happen. We all want to do it. And sometimes in a spur of a moment, in a haste, in a rash moment, we'll take action and then plan out the way to go, okay? So the first failure or the first cause of failure among leaders is taking action without planning, okay? Action with no plan is a plan to fail, okay? I'll say that again. Taking action without a plan is a plan to fail. Now, you take an action and you don't have a plan or written down plan, and you'll say, I don't have a plan, but you do have a plan. You have a plan to fail because your inability to put together a plan becomes a plan for failure. So you have to think about considerable thought must be given to what you're going to do. Think about this. Even the scripture tells us that. Listen what it says. It talks about who goes to battle, except he first sit down and counts the cost and to see if he have enough to be sufficient. Okay? He's talking about planning. Nobody just go do. You got to plan out. See, do I have enough resources? Do I have enough manpower to do what I want to do? That's called a plan. A plan. A plan, an action without planning is a plan to fail. So number 1, the first cause of failure is taking action without planning. Because if you take action without a plan, when the enemy or the opposition does something different, you don't have a plan for how you're going to respond or how you're going to counter, okay? Because when you have a game plan, everything has a strategy, but there's a counter so that if the person counters your strategy, you know how to counter their counter. That's what planning does. If they do this, we gonna do that, okay? In a game plan, a quarterback goes up to the line of scrimmage. He has a play devised for a certain defense, okay? But they have planned it that if they go up there and the defense that the players plan for is not in place, if they've done something different, he calls an audible. So he's countering the counter that the defense has done. But that only happens when you have plans, okay? So in your leadership journey, and as you lead, you got to have plans. You got to know how to call an audible. You got to know how, okay, this is what I want to do, but the condition's not right for this to happen, so let's go this way now. Let's do this. Taking action without planning is a plan to fail. So that's the first thing. Number two, planning without taking action. Now remember, the first one was taking action without planning. The second failure is cause a failure of leaders is to plan without taking action. In other words, you know, I have seen people, churches, leaders, and I must confess I have done it myself also. We'll sit down and we'll make a plan. We'll put it on paper, and it's the greatest plan in the world. And we'll prepare for it. And at the end of the day, never take action on the plan. Get caught up in so many other things that we never take action on the plan. Why? Sometimes because the conditions are not perfect for it. Well, the conditions are never going to be perfect. You know, if you're waiting on the right time to do everything, guess what? You won't do most things because most things done, the timing was not right. There are very few times when timing and all the stars align and you can do it. That happens every now and then. But most of the time, you got to make the move when things are not right, when things don't look good. It's a leap of faith. You trust in God. You trust in your instinct. You believe in things are going to work out. And so sometimes we don't take action after we made a plan because the plan required this, but the circumstances are not that, and so we don't take action. And as a result, you got the best laid plans sitting up on a shelf. Questions gonna ever persist. What if this happen? You can always have a question. You can't eliminate the questions. The issue is plan well, and once you plan well, do it. You want to know what that's called? That's called execution. Okay? You got to execute the plan. It does, you know, I am the chaplain for the Clay Chalkville football team. Love it. Love what I do. Love the Clay team. Love Coach Floyd and Coach Gilmer the years prior to that. And love the team. And I'm there on Thursday to speak to them. And I'm in the dressing room before every game. I pray the prayer that leads the team onto the field before we leave out the dressing room. And one of the things the coach always say to them is, hey, fellas, let's execute the plan now. We planned, we prepared you. Let's go execute. Let's go execute. And if they execute, guess what? They're going to win. And so that's what it's all about. You done made the plan. Now go do it. It's called execution. Don't let it stay on. Don't memorialize your plan and let it sit on the wall and become a trophy. Put the plan into action. Stop being afraid. Stop fearing. Stop waiting on everything to line up. Do it. Nike say what? Just do it. Leaders do. They make it happen. So you've planned it. You've thought about it. You did all the groundwork. You've researched. You studied your opponent. You studied the landscape out there. You got the plan. You got it in front of you. You know how you want to accomplish what you want to do. Guess what? Go ahead and do it. Third thing that cause people to fail is unrealistic time frames and expectations. Unrealistic time frames and expectations. Now, I see this a lot in ministry because in ministry, as a pastor, and I've been guilty of this. I'm not just saying this about my brothers and my sisters. We all are guilty. We want things to happen fast, especially when we see things happening for others and we are comparing ourselves to them. And that's a dangerous game. You can't ever win the comparison game, okay? So don't even go through that. Don't even go down that road, because you cannot win. You will never come out on top. You'll end up frustrated. You'll end up discouraged. You'll end up almost depressed, because you'll look at another person's journey and compare their journey to yours, and it looks like they're making more progress at a faster pace than you are. And so you now saying, what's going on? Well, that's not how you judge the process, because everybody is not doing the same thing. You know, if I'm cutting through a thick forest and you cutting just through regular grass, you're going to have an easier course than I have. If I'm trying to make a way through rock and hard dirt and you cutting through sand, yours going to be a little different. We all don't have the same thing that we're cutting through. We don't all have the same surface that we're navigating through. That makes a major difference. If I'm going down the highway and I'm in a Toyota Corolla, and that guy comes by me and he flies by me and he's in a Dodge Charger, well, it's obvious I can't keep up with him. I can't get mad and say, well, he's going fast and I'm not. We're in two different kind of cars, okay? And so many times you're digging through different surfaces. The surface I'm digging through and the surface you dig are two different things. So you can't play the comparison game. You won't win that one. Don't do that, okay? So we want things to happen fast. We want things to happen, and we miss the point that life, not only life, leadership, ministry is a process. It's not an event. It's a process of going from one place to the next. It's not an event. It's not that you just you move here and I'm there, I finally made. No, it's the process. And the process takes time. And so many times we fail because things don't happen in the timeline or that we have set up, or the expectation that we decided we wanted, okay? And so we fail because we give up in the process because things are not moving. Nothing great was ever built easily or quickly. You heard the statement, Rome was not built in a day. Wasn't built in a day, you know. I like to talk like this here when I'm teaching leadership. I talk about a thing called cathedral building. And that's really how leadership is, and that's how ministry is. You know, you have to build you have to understand cathedral building. Let me give you just a quick synopsis of cathedral building as I prepare to close. Now, we don't understand cathedral because we don't see many cathedrals here in America. But if you go over into the eastern part of the world, into certain parts of Europe and certain parts of Asia, and maybe Middle East and Africa, you will find cathedrals. And some of these cathedrals have been standing for thousands of years. We don't have many buildings. Well, first of all, America ain't even 1,000 years old, okay? America in 2076, we'll come up on 300 years old. So we are young. We are a baby in comparison to the world nation. We are really a baby. I can remember in 1976, we celebrated the bicentennial. We 200 years, that was a big thing, okay? And I was telling my son Nathan, he'll be around in 2076, they'll celebrate the tricentennial, 300 years old, okay? Now, we don't have buildings. If a building in America is 40 years old, 50 years old, it's old. But overseas, there are buildings that are thousands of years old. Why? Because the cathedrals, they took hundreds of years to build. It might take them 400 or 500 years to build that cathedral. When they made the plan for the cathedral, they would gather the men together and they would decide who's going to do what. The man that was responsible for the oak trees to give all the lumber had to grow the oak trees for the lumber. Because of the nature of the building of the cathedral, he wasn't going to need the oak trees for 100 years. But what would he do? He would go out with his son and plant the oak trees. And throughout the years, he would go take care of them and water them. He would have his son with him because he's training his son on how to take care of these trees. He knows that he'll never be alive to see the trees come to fruition for the cathedral. So he trains his son. He dies off. Now the son's an adult. The trees are coming up. Now the son begins to take over the care of the trees. Now the son has a son. He takes his son with him as he cares for the trees. Okay? Still, they 40, 50 years from needing the trees. So the son, he grows old, he dies, and his son, who he has trained, who's now the grandson of the original, he now takes over the trees. This may go on for 4 generations. And now finally, after about 100, 120 years, they're ready for the trees. The oaks have come to full maturity. They cut them down. But guess what? We are 4 generations deep on those trees. That's called cathedral building. Because he understood, I got it started, but I'm not going to be here to see it come to fruition, because he understands it's a process. And that's how things in life are sometimes. It's a process. You might start something here today, but you won't see the fruition of it until 20 years later. So don't fail because of unrealistic expectations of time, of a time frame. Nothing built was ever done quickly. Rome was not built in a day. Learn to be patient. Wait on the fulfillment of the promise to you. Because here's the reality as I close. Unfortunately, most things in life and most things in leadership, guess what? They take much longer than the best laid plans have laid out. The plan may have said for 3 weeks or 3 years, but it takes 5. It's just a natural process of life. So don't get stuck in the time game to where you allow time to become your enemy rather than time to be your friend. Because again, most things in life take longer and they cost more than the best laid plans anticipate. Listen, my time is up. We'll pick up here, amen, on next week. Now listen, don't forget to stop by my website, www.pronaldwilder.com. That's my personal website. On that website, you can find a copy of my book. You can order it, The ABCs of Leadership. That book will bless you. It is a good book. It was about 3 or 4 years in the making, and great principles in here. I get great reviews from people and pastors and leaders who get it, and so go ahead and grab it. Also on the website, you can stop by my shop page. There a list of leadership teachings I have there. Some of them are it's great information. You can download them individually, and you'll have great information. The best purchase on the website is the bundle package. It's on a jump drive. You'll get every leadership lesson that's on that shop page on this drive, and it will cost you less than half if you order each one individually. So go ahead and do that. Take advantage of that. Now listen, before we go, don't forget, your support of BGTV Studios is appreciated and will be gratefully received. There are ways to give. It's on the screen now. You can go to bgtvstudios.com, or you can text any amount to 84321. This is good ground. This is great programming, and this is a good place to sow seed. So go ahead and pray and ask the Lord what He would have you to do, whether that be a one-time seed or a monthly partnership, whichever the Lord leads you. And I believe in BGTV Studios, and so we want to appeal to you to be a supporter. Now listen, every penny you give goes to BGTV Studios, the management upkeep of this platform. We as podcasters, myself and others included, we don't get one dime out of it. That's not how this is set up. We're here giving a service, and whatever you give directly to BGTV Studios, okay? So go ahead and do that, and I believe the Holy Spirit will speak to you, and the Lord will bless you. This is good ground. You'll get a harvest from it. Hey, listen, my time is up for today. Let's pick up next week. Don't fail to join us next week to get the second part of what causes leaders to fail. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. This is your leadership host, Dr. P. Ronald Wilder, reminding you that leadership matters and leaders lead.